Breakfast. Today is the 6th of June, 2023. And domestic accidents involving children are on the rise. Statistics from the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital's Domestic Child Health Department are indicating that reports from the World Health Organization also show that injuries to children are a global public health issue and must be taken more seriously. My guest this morning is going to throw more light on the issue. She's a doctor for children. You know, she loves children and she takes care of them. And she is the president-elect of the Pediatric Society of Ghana, Dr. Hilda Mantebia Boy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to be here.
All right. So let's look at those statistics again. I mean, how common is the incidence of accidents among children in Ghana?
I'll just start general. So from the various homes, sometimes you get calls, oh, my daughter just got a burn. My daughter just swallowed something. My son just fell, you know. So these are things that I can say in almost every home, at some point in the process of child rearing or nurturing children, you will have an accident. And many of these can be prevented. In the hospital, every month, unfortunately, I don't have like fine details, but every month we will have minimum 1 or 2 cases of children coming in with one form of accident or the other. And you see, in the other departments, you have the burns unit, and they don't come to us at the child health department, so they'll go straight to the burns unit. There's a ward where every day there are children there who are suffering from burns and are being managed. At the accident center also, there are some that are being managed for fractures or one wound or the other from accidents. Most of them around the home.
What are the most common forms or kinds of domestic accidents involving children?
The commonest that come into hospital, especially into the unit, are the accidental injections or the poisons when children have taken in something they shouldn't have taken in. It could be medications, like their mother's medications or somebody in the house's medications, an overdose of their own medications, ingestion of caustic soda or chemicals that are used in the preparation of soap, and other poisonous chemicals. Yes.
I remember when I was quite young, I swallowed a whole bottle of gentian violet. And when I opened my teeth, my mouth it looked like a tunnel. My mother caned me well before she took me to the hospital. So I mean, that's how they used to do it. They don't cane you first. And I think these days they don't cane people that much anymore.
There is some that become so ill that you yourself will have sympathy for them and will not want to touch them but rush them to hospital.
What are the ages that we need to be really alert with respect to children and accidents?
Especially for children under 5, because under 5, they are young, they are now learning, especially also around the exploratory age, so the age when they start walking from the crawling stage, I almost said crawling, from the crawling stage to the walking, they are exploring their environment, so they are particularly vulnerable. Really? Yes, it's curiosity. And so they tend to come into contact with things they shouldn't come into contact with, falls and all the other things.
Before we look at some of the things we can do to help children who are in distress because of accidents, maybe some preventive measures first. The one which comes to mind first of all is keep your medicines out of range.
Yes.
Number 1.
Yes, so that's like one. There are quite a wide range. So you have the falls. For the falls, would say don't put maybe things that the children can jump on or climb onto close to the window. So don't put a table near a window. Don't put a chair near a window, because the children can easily climb and probably fall out of the window. If it's a story building, you can imagine what will happen. And generally, children are exploratory, so your home should be child friendly. That's like the first preventive tip that anybody should be aware of. Once you have children in the house, they are young, they are exploring, they cannot judge danger very well. So you have to ensure that your home is safe for them. And you can make your home safe. So if you have a toddler, how you make your home safe, you can just go on all fours Okay, all fours like a
toddler.
child who is crawling or so. And then you will suddenly pick up the dangers, the little dangers. So if you have sharp edges,
Yeah.
tables with sharp edges, corners, they can easily cut this child. If you have the tables at places they shouldn't be, you can easily spot. Because and then even if you have put medications up somewhere and there's a table or something that this child can easily use as a ladder to reach it, then that's it. They can easily reach it, and then they can also fall. Now, away from the falls, when it comes to the medications, put medications away. Medications should be, there are containers, even for the medications for children. You see, there are containers where they have a child lock or something that
the twisting thing.
yes,
If you turn it, it doesn't open.
it doesn't
until
open
put some
until you
fresh
push
pressure.
it down and then you try to open. So generally that is a safety feature, but there are many other medications that may come in the form of tablets or pills that may be in the sachets, and therefore it's difficult to have that kind of safety feature on. So all medications should be kept away, and medications are good for the body, but in the wrong doses they become poison, so keep them away. The iron tablets, especially for pregnant women, their iron tablets, these children can find them in their bags, and because they are often within reach of the mother, so keep all these away. And the chemicals in the home too, so cleaning agents, all those antiseptics and things should be kept away. The other thing, and possibly under lock and key. Now, for some of the things like the kerosene, where the children commonly ingest,
They go and drink kerosene.
they drink the kerosene. Why
Children,
won't they drink the
children,
kerosene?
children.
Yes, because people put them in containers like water
yes.
containers or their favorite drink
Something like this,
containers. Yes, and they don't look, many of them are clear. So they won't be able to tell that this is kerosene that is in the bottle. And before they know it, they would have taken quite a good amount before they suddenly will stop. There are cases, acid, things that shouldn't be, fuel, rat poison, other poisons. Yes, because fertilizer, all those things around the house, and children will come into contact with them and get harmed. So these are generally some of the things. When it comes to fire, we all cook at home. Okay, and the general rule there is that don't transport hot water. Because whether you're making the hot water for a beverage or whatever you're using the hot water for, don't move very hot water. So you cool it a bit, so you're not going to drink that hot thing. So you sort of dilute it, make it cool with cold water before you transport it. A lot of the burns that we will see is as a result of some of these things. The water that we use for beverage, bathing water. Somebody carries very hot water to the bathroom and the child is just exploring around there. Before you know it, hand inside the water, gets very bad burns from these. So for bathing water, all those, don't transport hot water. And then in the kitchen, when you're cooking, the pots and pans, they all have, many of them will have handles and some of them will project out. So yes, as a rule of thumb also, when you're cooking and the pots and pans are on the fire, especially with the cookers that are at a certain height, make sure that the handles go inside.
Away from the child.
It's away from the outside of the cooker, so that if somebody happens to sort of suddenly run in, they don't run the risk of hitting the handle.
Light soup on you.
Yes, hitting the handle and then the contents pouring on the person. And so not also transporting hot water means that, assuming you are transporting this hot water, the child, oh, mommy, daddy, and then, children cannot judge.
Exactly.
So they will just come running to you. Before you know it, the hot content spills on the child and then also on you. So don't transport hot water. And then where there are pool, like a swimming pool, any of those, make sure that there is a railing where you can also lock to prevent the children from wandering in and falling into these pools. A lot of these accidents also happen in other people's homes. So they'll tell you that, oh, I went to visit my sister or our cousin, or there was a party and we went. So in that unfamiliar environment, there are lots of hidden dangers. And hidden dangers because you are not aware as the mother or the parent, because that's not your home. The child also, unfamiliar environment, is just exploring. They go find something, take it in, and before you know it, there's a problem. So everybody's home should be safe for children, because you never know. If you're a grandparent, you can't be sure when your grandchildren are coming home. If your auntie, your nieces, your nephews may be coming home to visit you one of the days, and they may encounter something. We have very bizarre, like horrible stories of accidents, children mistaking the caustic soda for water and drinking it, chemicals for water and drinking it, causing them to have injury to their airway, to their esophagus, and causing them lifelong disability.
Wow. So you've just got to be careful
Yes.
and make the house child-proof.
Yes.
We're going to watch a couple of videos now. So in the event that you need to do CPR
Yes.
on a child,
Yes.
we're going to show that video right now. So break down, what is CPR?
Okay, maybe let's watch the
Heimlich maneuver.
Yes, and that helps us, like assuming the child has taken in something and is choking.
Okay.
It helps you to dislodge whatever it is that may be in the airway. So
Okay.
that's the Heimlich maneuver.
So we're going to look at the Heimlich maneuver. So there's a video there which you use when a child is choking.
Yes, when your child is
When your child is choking.
Yes.
So performing the Heimlich maneuver on a child or infant. Let's take a look, and then you can talk us through it.
Yes.
Okay. So this is so what happens?
Yes, so this is an infant, so a small child under 1 or just around 1. The child has been laid on the you can see the child on the lap of the adult and turned upside down, so the head is down, so that, and then he's given the back slaps, so gets about 5 back slaps around on the back, okay, to help to dislodge it. Then rolls the child over and does some chest compressions, also about 5. This continues until whatever it is has been dislodged, and the child is now breathing better and crying well. And all the while, you should call for emergency help.
While you're
so
doing
yes, while you're so this is like just something you're doing while
aid.
you're waiting, as a form of first aid, while you're waiting for help.
Okay.
Or while you're sending child to hospital, you can even be doing this.
And this can save the child.
This can save the child. So these are some of the tricks that parents should know. Everybody should know, because it can save a human life.
The Heimlich maneuver.
Yes.
So if there's some apply has gotten stuck in the child's
Yes,
throat,
yes.
you can force it out.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can force it out that way.
Okay. And there's another video that I want to show you. So this how to do CPR on a
Yes.
child. What is CPR?
Cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
Okay.
So when we say resuscitation, more or less you are helping the person to come back to life, or you are helping to support the person get life. So that's resuscitation. And the cardiopulmonary, cardiac heart, and then pulmonary lungs. The heart and the lungs help you to breathe. They help pump blood all around the body so that the tissues can get oxygen. So cardiopulmonary resuscitation, you are supporting the heart and the lungs so
Okay.
that the person can get life
So,
again.
maybe the child has fainted, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what you do. So talk
Yes.
us through it.
So here the person is trying to see whether the child can hear anything, whether the child can talk, whether the child is breathing. So you observe a bit. If there's still nothing, then you go ahead and you do the chest compressions. She'll show how to do the chest compressions.
What are you doing now?
She's just listening to see whether she can hear any sound or of breaths or anything on the child. And then she goes, they'll show how she locks. So this is just the positioning. So this is the sternum, around the sternum. So the sternum is in between the breast.
That line?
Yes,
Okay.
in between the breast, that line, there's a bone there that overlies the heart. So those are the chest compressions that she's given to the child.
Okay.
So she'll continue, give about 30 of them, and then she'll give 2 breaths to the child. And so the pumping action that she's doing is just to help to restart the heart, more or less. So it pumps, you push down, and then it helps to force the heart to pump blood out. And once the heart pumps the blood out, it goes into the lungs, gets reoxygenated, and then goes back into the rest of the body. So this also you can do while waiting for help or while on your way to hospital.
I saw her tip the child's chin a bit
Yes.
forward.
Yes.
Why did she do that?
All right, so that is to straighten the airway. So so chin lift, jaw thrust. You know, when you breathe in air, it goes through your airway, and the airway sometimes can be blocked if the neck is like that, is flexed. Okay, so when you do that, you lift the chin up, then it opens the airway and gives you free flow of the air that you are pushing into the blood. In hospital, we'll do a few more complex things to try and suction, bring out the secretions or whatever it is that may be blocking the airway. But this is just a simple thing that you can do at home while waiting for help or en route to hospital.
All right. So we're watching GTV Breakfast. We're looking at children and domestic accidents, and my guest is Dr. Hilda Boy, and she's looking at what you can do to help your child if he or she has been involved in some accident at a home. Back then, I used to scatter my mother's necklaces and then pop them in my ears and swallow them. I mean, if a pearl has entered a child's ear, what do you do before you take the child to the hospital?
That one, you can't do anything.
You rush them straight.
You need to send the child to hospital, because anything you do may end up forcing it further lower, and it can cause a tympanic membrane, or a membrane that's like the eardrum, to tear, and then you have more problems. So the ENT doctors are always available, and they will provide support or help to save the child. That is not life threatening. So because the ear is the ear. If it's something around the airway, then those are the life threatening ones. So somebody, and we've had cases of children coming in with difficulty breathing, sudden onset difficulty breathing. Not that the child had a fever previously or has a pneumonia, but just difficulty breathing. It's not asthma. You can see that there's a problem. Yes, so the ENT will have to come in, take to theater, and go and sort the child out. And then they may find sometimes the earring piece that you're talking about. Sometimes they may find corn, granite, and if you don't act fast, the child just dies, because it is about the airways. Yes, breathing. If you can't breathe, you will die. And if we don't intervene early, the child can also have disability, because there will be a cut of the blood supply, or the oxygen to the brain will be cut, and that can cause the child to have disability in even if they survive. Yes, you have to be quick.
How about burns? Say there's a hot oil pours on the child. What should they do quickly before you take them to the hospital?
Quickly, you can just pour running water on the child, not hot water. The tap water that is like whether it's cold or lukewarm, you pour on the area, and you just rush to hospital.
You don't cover it.
You don't need to cover it, because whatever you use to cover it may potentially also cause more damage. So you just run the water on the child, on the part that is affected, and send the child to hospital. Some can be minor. You can have very bad burns. Hot oil potentially can cause very bad burns. So in that case, just rush. If it is something minor, like maybe a few drops or so, then that one you could possibly manage at home. But if it is like 10 mils, 1 cup, you have to move to hospital quickly.
You treat hot water burns differently from hot oil burns?
It depends on the extent of the damage. So in hospital, we'll assess and know, okay, what's the thickness of the burn that we are looking at, and then manage appropriately. But then both of them can cause very bad burns.
Child bumps into a door. What do you do?
Child bumps into a door. It depends on the impact. If you are not sure, definitely you should send the child to hospital for further assessment, because that bump, you could see that probably the child may have a swelling around the area. You may need to give some pain relief and send to hospital. It can be so bad that there may be a fracture, and you may not be able to tell. So it's good to send the child to hospital for further assessment and management in such cases. I've had some, these, as we are talking, these are all conditions that we manage in hospital. So it's not something abstract, and it can cause your child to die. So you need to keep an eye on your children. And when these things happen, it's not that, the child is akolabone, or the child is naughty dodo, the child is bad. No, it is you, the parent or the caregiver, who needs to be responsible enough to ensure that your child is in an environment that is safe for him or her, whether at play around the house or within the home. We've had cases where children are playing outside, somebody is frying buffaloes, and then ball hits
the pot,
falls into the
pan.
pot. You can just imagine splash of hot oil on a child. So all these, as you, the older person, is walking about and the child is playing around there, you should immediately tell the child that no, this is not a safe area to play. So we, the parents, the caregivers, need to be very alert and speak up for these children at all times through our actions, whether it is overt or subtle. We have to constantly, and it doesn't matter whether the person is your child or somebody's child, we all need to do our best in the community to protect these children.
When I was young, I think I was up to a lot of naughtiness. I remember playing football on the rooftop, or a 7th floor rooftop, and my mother found out. And she came in the house and just took me in quietly, and then caned me, and then handed it to my father, who caned me some more. So yeah, children are just always exploring. So you have to keep your eye on them.
Definitely, you have to keep your eye on them, and you should also know your child. The younger, so at every point in time, there are certain risks that they are more vulnerable to. So you need to be alert and guide them appropriately. The adolescents also have their problems. The under fives, the toddlers, all those have their problems. So we need to be up and doing as parents, and supervision is key at all times. If you are there, you are there. You will see something, you will notice something. But if you are not there, it's different. And sometimes people will leave their children for other caregivers, let's say a nanny or a house help. And some of these accidents will happen because they are not watching. They are on their phones or they are doing something else. So constantly, you will need to find ways of monitoring the activities of your child, even if you are not there.
Have you come across any accidents involving cars parked at home and children playing around the cars? I mean, what advice do you have to give?
There have been issues or cases of parents reversing and harming their children. So child is behind the car, father, mother is going to work. The child was probably around the car at the time you were moving, and before you know it, you run into the as you're reversing, you run into the child. So we need to be alert. Otherwise they will put us in a bad situation or bad position. Let's constantly be alert and watch them. If you are going, you park, you straighten your ties. That's one.
So nobody goes
hiding under and know where they are. If you are moving out of the house, it means that they should be indoors, or there should be an adult or an older person watching them while you are driving out, so that you don't have a situation where you risk running into them in the back because you did not see them.
Yeah. And as soon as my children could start walking, I always trained them that when you come out of the car, move to the front so I can see you.
Yes,
always. So they still do it right now. They're teenagers now, but when they come out of the car, they always move forward. So you don't move backwards, and we can't see you, blind spots and things like that. Any key takeaways from this conversation before I let you go? I'm going to take care of more babies for us.
Our children are all very precious to us, and they are the future of this country. We need to do our very best to protect them because they are not able to protect themselves, especially when they are very young. Let's ensure that our homes, the environment around the home is child-friendly so that our children are not at risk of having accidents.
My guest is Dr. Hilda Mantebia Boy. She is a pediatrician, looks after children, and we'll be looking at children and domestic accidents. Hilda, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
And have a good day.
You
Looks
also.
like everybody's wearing blue in this house today. I think we all got the memo.
Yeah, we did.
It's a good memo. It's a good memo. So still to come, another lady in blue who is going to bring the sports news to you. Nice, fresh, and piping hot. Her name is Maltiti Saida Sadiq. I wonder whether the Minister for Gender and Children and Social Protection will be wearing blue today. She's our guest, talking about school feeding and other issues related to her ministry. We have an international guest on our show, Deputy Foreign Minister of the Netherlands, who is going to be here with us to have a chat on Ghana-Netherlands relations. And the University of Ghana Business School is celebrating the 43rd Management Week, and we're going to be having a chat on that. We'll end with Adiza Ibrahim, aka Kubra Diamonds, who will be on our show in the last half hour to give you a dose of inspiration. We've got sports news at 7 o'clock with Maltiti Saida Sadiq, the Liverpool chick. She's more of like a red person, but she's wearing blue today. I don't know why. Maybe she loves Chelsea secretly. Who knows? Anyway, so sports news coming up next. And I sit down with my guests for the headlines in about 20 minutes. Do not go anywhere. This is GTV Breakfast. My name is Kafui Day. Enjoy the rest of our show.